So to get started, welcome everyone to our next breakout session on unconscious bias, and that is hosted by Ala. Ala is a student here at SJSU who is studying computer science, and she also wanted us to share with you that she was raised in the Middle East. So please join me all in the chat in welcoming Ala.
Hi everyone. So a few years ago, I would have never been able to speak up in front of strangers. If you had told my 17-year-old self that I would be hosting a session at a Spartan leadership and career conference by the time I'm a senior in college, I would have said, no way, get out. I was raised to not speak up in front of people or even to simply speak up. Now, maybe some of you might think, oh, that's probably because she was Muslim, that I was oppressed or not treated as an equal. And was I oppressed? No. Was I treated as equal? No. But that wasn't because I was Muslim. That's because I was born as a girl to a South Asian family. It was just good old patriarchy and sexism. Ever since I remember, a girl's purpose was to be a good daughter and a good wife so that society will not speak ill about them. This applied to every brown girl around me. This was even encouraged in movies, Bollywood movies, and other Indian movies in the 2000s. All around me, girls and women were treated like second-class citizens. Deep down, I knew there was something that just didn't fit right. As the youngest child in my family, my parents raised me like the pampered princess that I was. Maybe I still am a little bit. I spoke what was on my mind and did whatever I felt like doing at that point in time. If I ever did something that I wasn't supposed to do, my dad was always there to protect and defend his little princess. Everything changed once I was a teenager. A girl getting her first period in South Indian culture means that she was no longer a child. She's a woman because she can now procreate. Disgusting, but true. The day I got my period, my relatives in India said, oh, she lost her innocence and her childishness, poor thing. And my mom, brought up in the same patriarchal culture, replied with, as if, she's too stupid to grow up. And in a way, that was true. I was too naive to understand what being a woman meant to these people. The kind of people who only cared about pleasing society and spreading gossip when someone doesn't please them. Being a Muslim woman also meant that I was supposed to dress more modestly, and that included a hijab. At the time, I did not know why I was supposed to wear a hijab. I searched for a logical why for a long time. For years, I told myself that regardless of whether I wanted to wear a hijab, there must be some reason behind it that I just didn't understand. I truly believe that, and in some ways, I still do. Whenever I asked any Muslim woman why they wore a hijab, they replied with, because we're supposed to, and period, that was it, end of conversation. There was never any explanation why. Of the ones who did answer why, they were all men. So obviously they never understood what it was actually like to be a Muslim woman out in society. Their explanation was, quote, if you want a chocolate, you'd never buy it if it wasn't wrapped all tight and nice. You'd think it's dirty and wouldn't want that. The problem that I found with that explanation was that I'm not a chocolate, an edible, or a snack. So why on earth are you comparing me to something you can eat and purchase? It makes absolutely no sense. Now, all these people were South Indian and patriarchal, clearly. Another reason I heard was that the hijab protects women from bad things. For example, attracting men. And that was just the classic, men are attracted to women because of how they dress bullshit. And I still wasn't happy with the reason that I had heard. Mostly because During my teenage years, I was repeatedly, I was supposed to mention this at the beginning. I wanted to say there's a trigger warning in this session. Anyways, continuing. Okay, so during my teenage years, I was repeatedly molested. And this only made me question the point of the hijab even more. The hijab was supposed to protect me, and it didn't. By the time I was 16, I was already in a very dark place. I was experiencing a lot of negative and suicidal thoughts. Nobody noticed though, not my parents, not my family, not anybody, because the Indian community that I grew up in just labeled me as crazy. Mental health was not a concept that was known to any of them. Moreover, it was shameful. I wanted to get help, but there wasn't any way I could do it on my own. There was nobody to reach out to. The only thing that kept me from making a decision that I would have regretted was my curiosity. I was curious of why I was alive, what my purpose was, and there must be a purpose if I'm still alive all these years. My biggest hope during that time was my faith, my Lord. I confided in Him. I also started learning more about my religion and what was actually said about women and a lot of other issues. The more I learned, the more I realized how people twisted faith and religion to suit them, how they customized it when it was never meant to be customized. I learned that everything in Islam was about intention. Why I do something should only be for the sake of pleasing my Lord and nobody else. And He understands what's in someone's heart more than the person itself. As a part of a minority community, I was extremely self-conscious when I did wear the hijab because I looked obviously Muslim. It felt like everything that I did reflected on every other Muslim person around me. Every time I was out of the house, even school, mall, anywhere, the only thing that was on my mind was, I wonder if that person thinks I'm stupid or backward or even oppressed. I was juggling way too much and I couldn't anymore. So I decided to take off my hijab. It was supposed to protect me and it did the complete opposite. Then I tried to focus on myself. There was a learning curve, learning to speak up, standing up for myself, defending my stand on a particular issue, and learning a lot of things that I had seen around me. And it was all a process. I had no self-confidence or any sense of self-worth. And that's what I knew that I had to work on. Today, my journey has brought me closer to my faith. The patriarchy I experienced came from the South Asian culture, not Islam. Islam is what taught me that I should not only stand up for myself, but speak up for any injustice that I see. There was fairness and equality. Historically, Muslim women were scholars and founders of universities. At the same time, there were also always going to be people who said Muslims are terrorists, that Islam oppresses women, that women have no choice and they're forced to do a lot of things. But it doesn't, because as a Muslim woman, I am entitled to have my own wealth, property, and marry whom I choose. Most importantly, I have a God-given choice that nobody can take away. Islam gives women a lot of rights and not just the basic ones. It's not just a religion, it's a way of life. And I am proud to be a Muslim. Lessons I learned over the years are patriarchy is oppressive. Patriarchy was a concept instilled in us by the British, and we still struggle to gain our freedom today. 3, just because one person halfway across the world is a terrorist, one Muslim halfway across the world is a terrorist, does not mean your Muslim neighbor is also a terrorist. 4, one Muslim woman does not represent another Muslim woman. And that's it for my presentation. Thank you. And I wanted to ask, I wanted to keep the session very short in case, because I lose my concentration very quick, like after 10 minutes of listening into anything. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or we could just have any conversation on any topic that I just spoke about or that you guys would like to talk about.